Introducing the remarkable archetype, the dangerous gentleman. With a demeanor that commands respect and a hint of potency, he embodies strength tempered by virtue. Though his capabilities could veer towards danger, he channels his power for noble causes, serving others and safeguarding those in need. Rooted in a profound love for both God and humanity, he navigates life with discipline and purpose. In his presence, one witnesses the harmonious blend of power and benevolence, a testament to the true essence of masculinity. Step into the world of the dangerous gentleman, where strength is wielded for righteousness, and discover a captivating embodiment of honor and valor. Greetings and welcome to Storytime with the Dangerous Gentleman. Some of you may be tuning in to hear me talk about testosterone and masculinity. Well, if you follow the trajectory, the pattern of the podcast, generally I drop a story episode or recently an interview episode. I do that on Friday. And usually I do the more monologue, more educational, inspirational stuff on Tuesday. So that's going to be Tuesday's episode. I'm going to talk about masculinity and testosterone. But today we're going to tell a story, or actually several stories kind of all brought together in a theme that's going to hopefully bring a pretty powerful lesson in the end. But before I do that, I'm going to do the podcaster thing because we've had a growing audience since we switched to video format on YouTube. I want to encourage you to drop a comment, hit the like button, and share this with your friends. Okay? So that's how we get the message to grow. So if you like anything that I have to say, sometimes I say something worthwhile. Cool. So like it, comment, share it. And in the description, you'll find my social media links. But anyway, so the topic that I want to talk about today is coaching. Being a coach and being coached. If you go to my Instagram page, it says, it's the Dangerous G-Man, right, at Instagram. And if you go there, you'll see at the top of the page, it says Lifestyle and Transformation Coach. That's part of what I do, right? I'm also a podcaster. I'm also a chiropractor. I do a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats. But kind of the thing that this is all wrapped around is that lifestyle and transformation coach. Well, how did I get to be where I could call myself a lifestyle and transformation coach? If you've paid attention to the podcast up until this point, you know that up until a few years ago, my life was a mess. I lost my kids. I lost my wife. I was fat. I was lazy. I was broke, homeless, drug addict, alcoholic, the whole 9 yards. I really wasn't worth much of anything, and my life showed it. And over time, piece by piece, little bit by little bit, in big chunks and small chunks, I transformed my life into something that's unrecognizable compared to what it was. And now people who know me are like, I can't believe that you were ever like that before. And none of them knew me then, right? And a lot of people I knew then don't know me now, so they haven't seen the transformation. Anyway, and it wasn't like it happened all at once. It was a long, slow progression. So if you saw me at each step along the way, you wouldn't have been like, hey, what is he doing? It's just not, But if you saw me over here, and then you saw me over here, you'd be like, wow. But there was hundreds of steps along the way. One day, I was out visiting my mom up in Northeast Washington, and I was taking a hike. And my mom lives on the edge of like 1,500, 2,000 acres of Forest Service land, logging land. So lots of room to hike. It's beautiful country, and I go there, and that's my exercise while I visit my mom, as I go for these long 2-3 hour hikes. Take the dogs, and they love it. So on this one particular hike early in the morning, I was thinking about the path of my life and how I had gotten to where I am and the steps along the way. And I just started to think about what it would be like to take someone else through the same process that I did. And God just started to drop these thoughts into my head. I went on this big, long trail in my head, thinking through, what would I do first? What would I do second? What would I do after that? And if this happened, what would I do, right? And the thing that really helped me the most was not thinking about it in the abstract. I was thinking about it in terms of a specific person. So God kind of dropped a very specific person that I knew whose life was kind of a mess and used that person to inspire this whole big long train of thoughts. And I walked through the whole process. And I didn't know what else to call it because it's not a fitness regimen. It's not nutrition. It's not spiritual. It's not relational. It's all of these things. It's a transformation system. And I wasn't the Dangerous Gentleman at the time. This was before I became the Dangerous Gentleman, before I earned that nickname. And so I didn't know what else to call it. I just called it the transformation system. So now I call it the Dangerous Gentleman Transformation System. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go, what the Dangerous Gentleman Transformation looks like. But I walked through this whole process in my brain of what that looked like. And it was about an hour and a half, 2 hour long walk. And I was like, oh, it would be so interesting to someday. And that's when I first got into my head, maybe I'm going to do this. Maybe this is going to be part of who I am going forward in my life, is to help people walk through this process. I didn't actually have that long to wait, right? It was shortly after this time at my mom's that I went back, and I was just sitting in my house one evening when my pastor calls me, and he says, hey, so-and-so in the church had a pretty major slip. Their life was kind of a train wreck, and then they had a pretty major slip, and they were in a position of some influence in the church. And my pastor said to me, he said, Andrew, I know you've worked really hard on your life, and you've done some really good things. I'd like you to walk this young man through the process of getting his life back on track. And I was like, wow, have I really come that far? With very little hesitation, I said I would absolutely love to be able to do that. And it wasn't long after that then this young man contacted me personally, and we began the process of walking him through restoration, walking him through rebuilding significant portions of his life. And some pretty significant things started to happen. His life turned around, right? He started getting up early. He started exercising. He started doing things no matter what. He started to do little things that so many people take for granted, that some people just do them. I just do them now. I didn't just do them before. But these are just things like getting up early, tracking what you eat, getting a certain amount of exercise, reading a little bit every day, making sure you're drinking enough water, reading your Bible, and just these little things. Started to implement these. At first, it was like, he would be like, what is all this about? And he said, just trust me. Just do this for a week and see what happens. And then after a week, we'd have another meeting, and he'd tell me, all right, okay, I'm doing it. All right, so now that you've done this for a week, now add this. Okay? And then we'd meet again a week later. Now add this. And then after the course of about 3 weeks, he was like, I don't know what you're doing. And he joked something about me putting a spell on him or whatever. He's like, I'm starting to like this. I'm starting to build all these habits. I'm starting to look at other things. I'm starting to see things differently. I'm starting to want to do more stuff. Because he's got some pretty significant health challenges that limit him physically. He's got chronic pain and stuff. And so like he's had difficulty with some of these things. But as I started to walk him through this process, his life started to turn around. His finances got in order. His health started to improve. He started to lose weight. And he started to see himself differently. Very differently. And he would check in with me most every morning. That was part of the deal, was when you wake up early, text me when you wake up. If you don't text me within 5 minutes of you waking up at a certain time, I'm going to text you next. And my pastor came to me after like 2-3 months. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, man, but his life he's coming back around. He's getting stuff together. He's doing things that I never thought possible. So I was able to walk this young man through this process of being coached and doing things that he had never thought possible. And the system started to build in my brain. And I realized that what I did for myself could work for other people too. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about today, is the story of how I kind of got into being a coach and what that looks like. Part of coaching too, one of the biggest lessons I've learned about coaching is that even coaches have to be coached. I have to be coached. There's a lot to be said for being able to do things on your own and figuring stuff out, and that's great. And there's certainly a time and a season for that. But there's also a time and a season to look at other people and be able to glean things from their years of experience. Over the course of my career, Over the course of my health and wellness journey and over the course of my spiritual journey, I've had people who have coached me and who have brought some of the biggest transformations in my life. And it's when I'm able to humble myself, because most of the time I can figure stuff out. Most of the time I'm just like, all right, this is what I do next, and this is what I do after that, and boom, boom, boom. Right? But what happens when that's not working? What happens when the steps that I normally take aren't working? I got to go to someone else. I got to get an outside perspective. So early on in my fitness journey, I was going to CrossFit every week and I was going to Planet Fitness and I was doing some stuff and I kind of was getting in shape. And then I realized like I've reached the limit. With the way that I'm currently doing things, I'm not going to get any further than this. And so I went to someone and I said, because I really wanted to focus on getting stronger, just like brute strength, like just power. I went to one of the coaches, she was the coach for the early morning class at CrossFit. And I said, can you help me? This is what I want to accomplish. Can you help give me some stuff to help me get there? And so each and every week, we started working together and she started to assign me weights and rep schemes and different specific exercises that were designed to accomplish what it is that I wanted to accomplish, which was, again, to build strength. So I was doing squats and I was doing deadlifts and I was doing strict presses and I was doing all of these exercises that kind of combine that. And it took me to another level and I started to fall in love even more with that process. I started to learn about what programming looks like. I started to learn about all these different pieces and I was stretching regularly and I was doing cardio and I was doing high intensity and I was doing low intensity and all of these things. And I got a lot stronger. Fast forward a little ways, I've lost a fair amount of weight, but I'm still like 50 pounds overweight. But I'm stronger and I'm fitter than I ever was before. And I have some actual muscle mass, but I have some significant weight to lose. And I tried all these different things. I've talked a little bit in the past about my weight loss journey and how I tried all the pills and potions. I tried keto, I tried carnivore, I tried fasting, I tried all of these different things, right? And I finally had to admit that I'm stuck. In my weight loss journey, I'm stuck. And so I went to another lady at the gym who specializes in nutrition. And I said, I need someone to coach me in this. I need someone to be able to walk me from point A to point B, who's going to hold my feet to the fire and who's going to be like, hey, is this working? That doesn't look like it's working. Let's try this. Let's do this. And so she set me up on a program and she tracked what I ate. I shared everything I ate. She tracked my calories. We had sessions where we did measurements, where we did pictures, and I would send her numbers and all of these things. And she was adding extra stuff to the normal workouts that I would do that was designed to help me burn more fat, burn more calories. And I lost 50 pounds and I was in the best shape of my life and I was putting on muscle and I felt good. But it was only when I went to someone else and I said, I need to be coached. I need a perspective outside of my own. And when I got that and when I followed it, when the big changes happened. Same thing happens in my spiritual life. My current pastor, awesome guy, but like I can spin off a little bit spiritually and start to think certain ways and have certain thoughts. And my pastor's always able to kind of like, I'll share something with him and he's able to kind of like, hey, have you thought about this? He gets me out of my own head when it comes to spiritual things. And he checks me, right? He kind of just keeps me a little more focused. Andrew, you're spinning off a little bit. Hey, Andrew, have you tried this? And he's the one who is encouraging me so much because I'll get so focused on fitness, I'll get so focused on these discipline things that I'll forget about the spiritual, the relational aspect of my relationship with God. And so it'll be all about the daily disciplines. It'll be all about the stuff. And he's always bringing me back to the relationship. And so he coaches me in that way. Really kind of keeps me on the straight and narrow. So it's important that I have these different coaches in my life. I also have a coach in relationship to, I have a coach who's working with me to build this side of my business, this coaching business. But I also have a coach that I've known for more than 10 years. He's a coach of chiropractors. And I met him probably 13, 14 years ago. He's been with me when I've worked with other people. He's been with me when I've worked for myself. And he's been with me even when I was between jobs. Not necessarily coaching me, but just there to talk to. He's pulled me back from the brink a few times, and I don't always follow his advice because sometimes it's not what I want to hear. I'll have this grandiose idea, and he's like, that's not a good idea, because he's old school, right? But old school works. But I'll have this idea, oh, hey, I need to do this. I'm going to do this. He's like, stick to the basics. Stick to the basics. And I'll be like, nah. I've gone and I've invested money or time or energy into these other business things, and they didn't work, and I have to go back to him. Jay, you were right. He's like, I know I was. You should have listened to me in the first place. He's never steered me wrong. When I've listened to him, I've grown. When I've listened to him, I've been successful. When I ignore his advice, when I try to go off and do things on my own, that's when things don't go well for me. When I follow the basics, when I do the old school stuff, even though it's not exciting, it works. And he's been there with me through so many different crazy ups and downs, through my divorce, through all of those times. He's been a steady influence. And I appreciate him. Dr. J, I appreciate you. I've appreciated all these people who are coaches in my life. And it's important. And every single one of these coaches, here's the point that I really want to drive home, is the importance of being coached. Even though I call myself a lifestyle transformation coach, the most important coaching relationships I have are not necessarily with the people that I coach. The most important relationships I have are with the people who are coaching me. Because even when I've gotten to a level where I feel like I can impart something to others, if I don't also feel like I can still be learning things and other people can impart things to me, then that's just a sign of arrogance. And that is a step over the edge to crashing out. When you think you have it all together and you can't learn anything from anybody else, that's a quick descent into madness, or it's a rapid descent into failure. Because the second you feel like you're beyond help, the second you feel like you have all the answers, you're asking for a crash. And so, yes, I'm a coach, a lifestyle transformation coach. And yes, I'm being coached on how to do that. But the most important relationships are the ones where I'm being coached by nutrition, right? Like nutrition coach, a fitness like strength. I have a strength program right now that I'm doing, and I have a guy who sets it all up for me, and he's my gym coach. And I have a business coach, and I have a spiritual coach. So while I call myself a coach, and while each one of these other people in my life who are my coaches call themselves coaches, they also are being coached. My pastor has a pastor that's over him. My gym coach has a guy that coaches him in the gym. My business mentor still has a mentor, the guy that taught him about all of this stuff decades ago. He's still alive. He still calls him on the phone and asks him questions about how to do things and when he's stuck. So be coachable, even if you're a coach. And if you're looking for a coach, go down to my social media, follow the links down there, connect with me on my website, connect with me on Instagram, connect with me on Facebook. I'll see if I can help you. Trust me, I have plenty of people who are coaching me, and I would love to be able to impart what I have learned and what they have taught me into your life as well. So, be a coach and be coachable. We all need it.
So if you like this content, please give it a rating, a review, and share it with your friends. Also, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and what I'm all about and what I can maybe do for you, check out my website at thedangerousgentleman.org. That's thedangerousgentleman.org. Thank you for listening.